This is the facelifted Nissan Qashqai, which has just underwent another facelift of sorts. Yes, the popular compact crossover was given a nip and tuck back in 2017, and in 2018 it receives new engines, new gearbox and a new infotainment system. Let's see what's that all about.
Just in case you spent the last decade or so under a rock, I'll remind you that the Nissan Qashqai is a compact crossover. Launched back in 2007, it gained sympathy of clients around the world, especially in Europe. Well over 3 million Qashqais have sold to date, and more than 2 million of them drive on European roads. Nissan says the most popular version is a front-wheel drive, manual transmission and Connect trim with a 1.5-liter diesel.
But today I'm driving something different. This is a 1.3-liter turbo petrol with DCT.
This car is also front-wheel drive. During the 2014 second-generation Qashqai launch event, Nissan representatives said customers rarely choose all-wheel drive, and if they do, they go for the most powerful diesel.
Which should be available in 2019. New emission norms and fuel economy tests left the car market shaken, not stirred. Hence, new engines just a year after the facelift. Actually, it's only one engine, but with two power outputs. It's a 1.3 four-cylinder turbocharged engine producing 140 or 160 horsepower. The former replaces the 1.2 and the latter replaces the 1.6. In both cases, you get a lot more torque. 140 horsepower engine also gets 25 more horsepower, and the 160 horsepower gets 3 horses less. But you get extra torque, of course, and now there is a DCT instead of a CVT.
How does it drive? Surprisingly good. The 160 horsepower engine has enough grunt to push you back in your seat. I did not expect an interesting sound, and indeed, at high RPM, the 1.3 turbo engine sounds unpleasantly strained. Time will tell whether this engine will prove reliable.
Nissan promises fuel economy of around 5.5–6 liters per 100 kilometers. That's 43 to 39 mpg US, for those of you who are too lazy to Google it, or 51 and 55 imperial mpg. See? That's why normal people use liters per 100 kilometers, because a liter is a liter. Anyway, this is a first drive launch event, so I can't tell you how realistic these figures are. And yes, this engine has a diesel particulate filter.
The dual clutch transmission shifts gears fast. It is quick to downshift when you need to overtake. It's particularly important in case of smaller engines, when sometimes you just need everything you can get now.
Double clutch transmission is available for all trim levels with 160 horsepower engine. Manual transmission is available on both 140 and 160 horsepower engine, and of course the 115 horsepower diesel still has a manual shifter.
Suspension is quite good, but on rougher surfaces, optional 19-inch alloys are something you may want to skip. This is a family car, so get as much rubber as you can. Besides that, I like how the suspension evens out the bumps. Noise level in the cabin is average, but visibility is terrible. Qashqai is supposed to be a city crossover, but for some reason the window line rises around the A-pillars. Add large wing mirrors, and the 360-degree camera should be on all the time, not just during parking.
It's been a while since I've driven a Qashqai, so here are a couple other facelift-related changes.
Depending on the trim, Qashqais can recognize traffic signs or help you stay in your lane. There is also emergency braking, which now detects pedestrians. Cross-traffic monitoring helps you reverse out of spaces with poor visibility. There is also adaptive cruise control. All these systems come standard on 2 top trims, and some are available as part of equipment packs on lower trims.
But that's not all, because besides the new steering wheel, which is hard to miss obviously, there are also better materials throughout the cabin.
The cockpit is practically laid out. There are cup holders, a place for your smartphone, a 12-volt socket. Seats in this test car are heated, but there is no heated steering wheel regardless of the trim. USB ports are under the armrest. Glove boxes of a decent size, radio and cruise control buttons are on the steering wheel and they are logical to use. Keyless entry is available on 3 trim levels.
However, the biggest novelty is the new infotainment system.
The big news is that all cars from Ascenta trim upwards get Android Auto and Apple CarPlay, so you don't really need to know anything else about the infotainment system. However, if for some obscure reason you do want to use TomTom SatNav, you can download Nissan door-to-door navigation app and send planned routes from the phone to the car. The app gathers information from your contacts list, so if you want to visit your friend, you just can type his or her name rather than search for the address. New Nissan Connect infotainment system also features one-sentence search, which is supposed to make searching faster. There is personalization and voice recognition using your smartphone or Wi-Fi network. You can update the software and maps by yourself. Qashqai never claimed to be a true off-roader, but the doors cover the sills, so your trousers should be clean regardless of what muck you've driven through. Unfortunately, in the back you can feel how compact this crossover is, and not very modern either. There are larger cars in this segment and they get rear air vents, USB ports. At least the upholstery looks and feels very posh, although I would not like to vacuum crisps out of it. Seats fold flat. At 410 liters, the boot is 20 liters smaller than before the facelift. Perhaps it's got to do with the spare tire or optional Bose audio system on this car. Double floor is divided in half, making it possible to use part of it as a divider to secure smaller items. Nissan Qashqai prices start at €21,350 for a 1.3 140 horsepower Visia model. This is a Tecna Plus, which has absolutely everything, and it costs €37,405.
And how do you like the new Nissan Qashqai? Let me know in the comment section below. Subscribe if you haven't. Thanks for watching, and I will see you every Friday.